Hi there, good morning. We're going to be doing another chocolate orange friend here. As you can see, the chocolate orange, rather tatty looking chocolate orange, because it's the one I use for demonstration purposes. We're going to be doing this very cute little angel. Now, the angel was a request from one of my subscribers, but it was also something on my list. So I thought, come on, let's get on with her. It's a little bit different to my others because she's got this slightly lacy little dress here. She has her two wings, and obviously we have the head separate with a little hair bun here, which is just tied up with some cord that I've got. These are safety eyes, but look, mistake, lesson learned. It's not a lesson learned because I've done it before. They're not fixed in because I've pushed them in just for demonstration for you guys. I do need to take the head off and pop them in properly because for some bizarre reason I decided to just make it all, sew the head on, sew the bun on, everything, and then went, oh, she hasn't got her eyes in. I've done it before, so you think I'd learn, but clearly not. But for you guys, you are going to be doing it that way. I'm going to be unpicking this after the fact because I'm a little bit nervous. You have to take it really steady because it's very easy to cut either part and then that's it. You're going to be starting again. But because I wanted to get the video out, I decided I'd do it after the fact. So if we take the orange out, she does stand quite nicely. Nope, she's got quite good there. I was a little bit concerned with it being lacier that she wouldn't stand, but she does stand really well. Or if you were wanting to hang her from a tree or something like that, I think it'd be quite cute. So just pop a little piece of maybe gold thread or ribbon in there and you would be able to hang her as well. So I was really pleased with that. I do think she's got quite a cute little face. I haven't popped her mouth on. That is personal choice, but you can pop a little sort of embroidered mouth on if you wanted. Now I have double knit yarn here. This is what we're going to be using. A little bit of stuffing that is for her head, so I can move that to one side. There are two wings. I have already made one, so you don't need to watch me make both of them. The other thing I have in here, this is the cord I've just popped around her hair. These are my safety eyes. I had considered doing little blue eyes. That's why there's little blue beads in there, but I decided against that. I think the big eyes look much nicer. As far as the yarn is concerned, I have a white, which is this one's got like a filament through it. Can be just done in a plain white. It's just one of my favourite yarns. But beware, I do think these are slightly finer than a standard double knit. So when you're making it, keep checking on the size of your chocolate orange. I have yellow for the hair and I have this strange sort of peachy colour for the skin. Obviously, you're working on whatever skin tone you want to do and whatever hair colour you want to do. You could do a vast array. You can almost do a rainbow sort of range of angels, which would look absolutely amazing. So I hope when some of you do this, if you do put your pictures on Instagram and things, please tag me. I would love to see all the different variations of skin tone, hair colour, even dress colour. I mean, a real cute little sort of a rainbow type variegated yarn in pastels or something. That would look amazing too. So let's see what happens with that. But we're going to get on with this now. I'm going to be starting with the white. So I'm going to move those two to one side. I do need to tell you what hook size we're using. It would help. And here is the hook. We're using a 3.5mm hook, which is a standard hook I do use when I'm working with a double knit yarn. So where shall we start? Here we're going to start with our slip knot. Now, if you're used to my videos, you know I don't do the magic loop. I go for slip knots with 2 chain because I think it's neater. So we go 1 and we go 2. And we work into this very first chain and we're going to do 6 double crochets. UK terms. That is something to always check for. I do try and write it on my thumbnails and everything now because it does make a difference depending on where you are in the world. There are conversion charts out there. In fact, a lot of magazines have them in, but they're easy enough to Google and find as well. So 6 double crochets, UK terms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're now going to be doing 2 double crochets into each of one of those, so that's going to give us a 6 increase, so we will have 12 stitches. So if we go into number 1, 2 double crochets, into number 2, 2 double crochets, number 3, just 2 in each one, number 4, number 5, and our last one, number 6. So that was 2 in each one, which has now given us 12 stitches around. So I'm just going to tighten up that bit. If you've got a good slip knot there, it will tighten up nicely. We're going to do another 2 in each, which is going to give us 22, I can't count, can I? 24 stitches in total. So into our first one of the 12, 2 stitches. Into the second one, into number 3, number 4, number 5, and number 6. So we're halfway around now. A little bit more yarn out. Number 7. Oh, well, not. There's number 7. Number 8. Number 9. Number 10. And number 11. I said that as if it was the last one, and it's not. Number 12 is the last one. Oh, dear me. Right, we now have 24 stitches. We need one more increase round, but it's going to be slightly different. You're going to do 2 in the first one, and then you're going to do 1, 2, and 3 individual ones. Then it's going to be a 2, then 1, 1, and 1. Okay, you're going to do that 6 times. This will give us 30 stitches. My pattern, moving it over a little bit so it's a bit closer to me. Right, so here we go. So this is a 2. So 2 double crochets in this one, and then 1 double crochet in the next 3. 1, 1, and 1. That is our first set. Our second set, 2 in this one, then 1, 1, and 1. That's my second set done. 2 in this one, then we have 1, 1, and 1. Set number 3. Set number 4 coming up. A 2 in this one, and then 1, 1, and 1. So that was set number 4. Set number 5. 1, 2 in the first one, and then 1, 1, and 1. And our last little set combination, we have a 2, and then we have a 1, oh, nearly, 1, and a 1. Now, if I'm going a little bit fast, don't forget you can slow me down in the settings. You may want to turn the volume down if you do that, though, because the voice sounds a little bit slurry and strange, but it does slow it down. Or watch that little bit, pause it, you do it, and come back. I find that's the easiest way to work. I will also be making a pattern for this one, so it will be going up on my website ASAP. I hope. That is the theory. I have a few Christmas ones to pop up there that people have been requesting. Now from now on we're going to be starting with the pattern, so you can see the pattern we've got here. Now first of all, before I set off with it, I'm going to do a slip stitch into the next stitch. Slip stitch, okay, because we're going to be moving on to doing trebles. We're going to do 3 chain, 1, 2, and 3. That counts as my first treble. Now in that same space, you can see directly below, I'm going to do 3 more trebles. 1, 2, and 3. So it gives you 4 in total, because that first 3 chain does count as our treble. We are now going to miss a stitch, and then we're going to do a double crochet in the next one. We're going to miss a stitch, and then we're going to do 4 trebles. You'll probably get how the pattern's going to work in a moment. 2, 3, and 4. Miss a stitch, double crochet into the next one. Yeah, it does look like, can you see, it looks like it's going to sort of create a little flower at the moment, but it won't do when it settles down. So we miss one, and into our next one we do 4 trebles. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to miss one, and we double crochet into the next one, and we're going to just keep repeating that round until we get back to here. So we miss one, we 4 trebles. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We miss one, and we miss one, and 4 trebles. So there's always a miss one in between. 1, 2, 3 and 4. We miss one, we double crochet. We miss one, we 4 trebles. 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's caught a little bit there. Have I got it? 3 and 4, all in that same stitch. We miss one, we double crochet. We miss one, we 4 trebles. 1, 2, 3 and 4. We're going to miss one, we're going to do a double crochet, and we're going to have our last one. Now we're going to miss one. Now this does seem very close. I think I may have missed a stitch at the beginning. 1, 2, 3. You're going to get away with it though, so don't worry about this. So because I did actually miss a stitch, I've got 1 stitch missing now. I don't mind showing you my mistakes. I think it's important to sort of, if you've done it and it didn't sort of match what I'd done at the end and you'd be worrying, you don't need to, because to be honest, at this stage, all we've got to do, we'll just do a slip stitch into our next stitch. And who knew? You can't tell. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 8. I think where I went wrong, I will discuss it with you. You know, when I did the 3 chain here, I should have gone in a little bit further underneath. I think I slipped slightly to one side. That is something to watch, but I would rather you see my mistakes, so that if you did that, you don't panic when you get to this end and we just slip stitch in. Nobody's going to know. Now the first round is the hardest, and it's not particularly hard, is it? After that, it does get quite simple. We need to get between these 4, so it's sort of after 2 but before 3. But to get there, we can't just jump, we do need to do some slip stitches. So I'm going to do a slip stitch into the top of the 3 chain. Yeah, I'm going to do a slip stitch in the top of the next treble, and then I'm going to do a slip stitch in the middle. So that is just literally gone in the middle between number 2 and number 3. Yeah, and then we're going to start the pattern. It'll work now. We don't need to worry about what we did wrong. 1, 2 and 3 chain, and into that space you've got it 4 trebles in total. So that's our second one, because the 3 chain counts as 1. That's our third one, and that's our 4th one. No need to think about anything else. We just need to get between the next set of 4. So it's after 2 but before 3. So if you want to just sort of separate it up, if you're a little bit unsure, yarn round, and we'll give ourselves 4 trebles. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, and you're just going to keep doing that. We're just going to jump to the next one. Between 2 and 3, we're going to do our 4 trebles. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Again, jump to the next one. I know some of you are probably already whizzed round. 1, 2, 3. It's a little bit annoying because it's curling at this point, but it will straighten out. We just push it back the other way and it'll be okay. So jump to the next one. Remember, you're just going between the 2 stitches. You're not having to try and get in the stitch, just go between them. Next one. It's all exactly the same. Nothing changes. It's just 4 trebles in between that second and that third treble from the previous row. So in we go, nearly there. 1, 2, I'm going to have to move this wool over there. You go, 2, 3 and 4, and our last little set coming up. So we just jump into the middle there. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now to finish this off, we need to slip stitch in the top of that first 3 chains. So just push it all out so it's easier to hold. So slip stitch into the top of the 3 chain. Make sure it's nice and tight. We're then going to slip stitch into the next treble, and then we're going to slip stitch between these 2 stitches, and off we go again. 3 chain, 1, 2 and 3. 3 trebles into the base, giving us the equivalent to 4 with that 3 chain. Yep, can you see how it's sort of coming? Now you might be thinking, oh, it's not going to fit, but it's got to stretch over the chocolate orange. You don't want it too loose. So we're going to do the same as we did for the previous round. Now, this was our sort of foundation round. This was our first round. Now, in total, I'm going to have 5. So I'm on my second one now. So that was what I called sort of just setting the pattern up. And then we have 4 rounds where we just do this. So we've got 1 round. So I'm going to grab my pen and I'm going to mark my 1 round. I've done 5, as I said, but you do need to check on the orange just in case your yarn is a little bit thicker or a little bit thinner. It can make quite a difference. So we're going to jump in between again. It's a very simple pattern, but it is quite effective. I mean, it is if you don't drop your stitches, that is. Where am I going? All right, that was 1, 2, 3 and 4. Jump to the next one. The filament caught then. I don't know whether you heard that. There was like a little crack where the filament tore. The only problem with filament yarns, you do have to be careful. They are gorgeous. I absolutely love that sort. I don't know, I feel it gives like a bit of a Christmassy sort of feel by using the sparkly yarns. But depending on where you are, it might not be a yarn you can get hold of. I know there's plenty online here in the UK. But as I say, it depends on where you are in the world at the moment. So, next one. 1, 2, 3 and 4. This sparkle's almost like it's an aurora borealis, they say, so it's got like slight pinky bits in it as well. But I know you get them with gold and silver, and oh, there's some gorgeous yarns. I always say I'm not going to buy any more yarn, and then I see another one and I go, oh, I've got to have it. I think I just like collecting yarn rather than anything else. And I know I'm not the only one like that. Come on, how many of you have got bags and bags of yarn stacked in various places around the house? I'm quite lucky because I do have my room, so most of mine is boxed up in separate sections. But if you haven't got the space, I know they're tucked behind those sofas. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Top of the 3 chain, slip stitch into the next one, slip stitch between 2 and 3 and hold it there because I'm going to mark it down. That was my second one finished of the 5. So 3 chain start, 1, 2 and 3 into that space, 3 more trebles, so we have the equivalent to 4. Now, when this pattern gets going, it's actually a lot quicker than doing some of the other chocolate orange bases I've got, because it's quite a long stitch, obviously a treble. So that's catching a little bit. We take it out. If it catches too much, just take the stitch out because you'll just damage the yarn, and start again. 1, 2, 3 and 4. When you get into the roll of it, it does go quite quick. As long as you get in between stitches 2 and 3, the pattern will work. And again. I think there's lots of little bits with this particular pattern, so it takes a little bit longer because we're doing lots of bits, and sometimes it's the sewing up. Somebody asked me how long it took me to crochet an item the other day, and I went, well, you know, anything between 1 or 2 hours, but it's not so much the actual crochet, it's the actual making up of it, because if there's lots of little bits, it can take ages to sew the ends in, put the details on, but those are the bits that make it. Those are the bits that are important and that finish your work. So they are important, but they can take a long time depending on what you're doing. And 4. almost round again already. Look how quick that was. 1, 2. Oh, take number 3 out. 3 and 4. We have one more set for this round. 1, 2, 3 and 4. We'll do our slip stitches before I write down what I've done. So slip stitch in the top of the 3, slip stitch into the next treble, slip stitch between treble number 2 and treble number 3. So I can mark that down now. We're in position for round number 4. 3 chain, each round will start with that 3 chain, and then into the space we do 3 more trebles. 1, 2 and 3. In between 3, 3. We're not doing 3 at all, are we? We're doing 4. It's always 4 on this. There are definitely 4 trebles in every single space between. Otherwise you would look a bit lopsided. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Next one. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Try not to get too close to the camera. I have a tendency to pull the work towards me and then obviously it's going to blur. I'm hoping that hasn't blurred. Right, here we go. 1, 2, 3 and 4. In between. It's definitely curling round now, so it gets a little bit harder to hold. 1, 2, 3 and not on 4. There we go. In between. 1, 2, 3 and 4. And I got a certain pussycat just run down the stairs, so don't be surprised if we get a visitor any second. So I might have to pause the video to take her out of the room. 2 and 3. I will do my slip stitches before I check my count. So I have 1 in top of the 3 chain, 1 in the next treble, and 1 in that space. So I'm in position ready to start. So that was round 4. So we're going to have a look now. Can you see? That is why I definitely need my rounds. In fact, I've written repeat 5 times, so it's actually 6 rounds. So I've got 2 more rounds to do, because I think the next one might be about there. But this is where you've got to decide whether you need more or less. If your yarn's slightly thicker, you might only need that 1 extra round. So we will see. I'll do my extra round and then I'll try it again. 1, 2 and 3 and treble. Oh, the cat's left. She normally, if she sees wool, I have to be really careful. That's why I keep all my wool in all these separate boxes and things, because obviously I don't want her around the wool. But if she spots what I'm doing sometimes, I have to be careful with her. She really does like it. 1, 2, 3 and 4. It's quite nice, this sort of pattern, because can you see how it sort of gives us like a little wavy edge as well, so it works quite nicely. In between the next one. 1, 2, 3 and 4. I thought an angel deserved something a little bit more lacy rather than the solid. I mean, you've all done the solid oranges. They've probably got them and you've used them and you've altered them and turned them into different types of orange bases. Chocolate orange bases, so I thought it's something different. We needed something different there, and I'm pleased to say I quite like this one. So we'll have a little measure in a second, double check. 1, 2, 3. The ball's getting closer and closer again. Over there, behave. nearly knocked you all dizzy. Let's let that settle a second. Is that okay? Is it settled? It's great, this new stand. It holds my phone so well, but it's very bouncy. So if you knock it, it sort of goes mad. 2, 3 and 4. One more. We're going to do a quick measure, aren't we? 1, 2, 3. It's a little bit hard to tell sometimes because it's quite a long stitch. Sometimes you think, oh, I'm nowhere near the bottom, and then you do it and you, oh, I'm determined to knock it. I need to put this further down. It's because it's only sort of what, maybe it's not far away from where I'm crocheting, so it's easy to knock. Slip stitch. And I'm not going to do any more slip stitches yet, because if I'm not going to do another round, there's no point being in the center. So let's have a look. This is our 5th round. And you know, I think that might be okay. If you want to do another round, if your work's particularly tight, please do so. If you need one less, please do so. I don't think you're going to need less than 5. I think 5 is probably, 5 after that base one is probably going to be the one. But I will write that on the pattern when we do it. Obviously, I don't sew my ends in when I'm showing you guys, but it is a good idea to get those ends sewn in now, nice and neat. And we'll pop this on the orange so it's ready for the next stage, because I do like to sew the head on when this is actually on the orange. I don't know, I'm just looking now, perhaps I do need one more round, but I think that's okay. I think that stretches round nicely. So we're going to do the head next. Again, whatever skin tone you're wanting to do. There is a real sort of rainbow of colours. I keep saying that the yarn companies don't really do a good enough selection of skin tones, and it would be fabulous if there was a range. I know that's almost impossible, because what is a skin tone? There are so many different variants, so it's very wrong to say something is skin toned. So it would be nice if you could sort of, you know, like some of the makeup ranges now with the foundations and things like that, you can get like a massive variety of colours. It would be amazing, but I suppose perhaps they would argue it's perhaps not financially viable. I don't know, but it would be nice. It would be nice, yarn companies. So we're going to be starting the head. I've done the head and the hair separate this time, so it makes it look like she's actually got hair on her head rather than, I mean, I have my first little angel. I'm just going to grab her. This is the little one. This is sort of like little baby sister of this one, so they do sort of match quite nicely. But can you see how I did this? This was all in one, because I know a lot of people like to do that, so there's less sort of sewing up and things like that. So it was all in one, but I wanted to make sure this one's hair looks like it is sort of hair on her head rather than just part of it, so I've just changed it slightly. Right, back to this face. We need our slip knot on there, and we're going to start with our 2 chain like I always do, and into the first one our 6 double crochets. We are definite amigurumi now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and not 6, and 6. Tighten it up. We are now going to do 2 in each, giving us ultimately 12 stitches. Now, being amigurumi, it is spiral. If people are not quite sure about it, people still do ask me, what is amigurumi? It's in a spiral system, so I'm not going to start. I just jump to the first of those stitches. In we go, and it makes it much neater. If you're stopping and starting, slip stitching sometimes is required, like we've just done in the body, but sometimes it's best not to, and we follow the amigurumi style then. So this is 2 into our first one, 2 into our second one, 2 in number 3, 2 in number 4, 2 in number 5, and 2 in number 6. We now have 12 stitches round. Just tightening that up again. We're going to do it again because I want 24 stitches, so off we go. So 2 in our first one, 2 in number 2, 2 in number 3, in number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8, nearly there, number 9, 10, 11, and 12. You need to have 24 stitches now. So there's 24 stitches there. I'm now just going to be doing double crochet rounds, of which I haven't got my stitch marker because I'm always so badly organized. So I'm just going to pinch a little bit of this yellow. Emergency stitch marker time. Oh, and the yarn's sticking to my hand. Move over there. So I've just cut a little bit of thread, and I'm just going to push it through directly below where my last stitch is, and I'm going to use that as a stitch marker, a temporary one. Mind it doesn't pull out though, because sometimes it pulls out and you don't realise you've done it, and then you go, oh, I don't know where I am. Right, we are now going to be doing 5 rounds for this head. I'm just double checking. Actually, I'm reading head and hair. Okay, for the head, I actually want 8 rounds, so it's just 8 rounds. So here we go. Good job I put that stitch marker in. In fact, I need to move that yarn out of the way because I'm getting all tangled up with all these different yarns here. So we have 24 stitches. So you're going to do those 24 stitches, and we're going to go round 8 times. So you might just speed ahead of me now, or just pause and come back. Do you hear the tinkle? That means the cat's back. That's why she's got a bell on, because you never know what she's up to. Especially when she was a kitten. She was a very naughty kitten, very funny, very beautiful and lovely, but very naughty. So it was always best to know where she was or what she was up to, because she is an indoor cat, so she doesn't go out anyway. She'd have a tendency to get herself in tight spots and get lost. She even got under the floorboards once upon a time, and that bell is what saved her. If she'd not had a bell on, and then she was making some noise, it was the dog that sort of alerted me to there was something wrong. But it was the bell that helped. So that is why she's belled up. I mean, she's 8 now. She's not always naughty. She's still naughty sometimes. She does make me laugh though. Right, that is round 1. I have my pen and paper, and there we go. Mark it down. And round we go again. It does mean you're going to be doing more by doing the hair separate, but I do think it gives slightly more 3D effect, which is quite nice, I think. But you could do the head and the hair in one if you wanted to, like my original little angel was. I will pop a link on for the original little angel. She's more like a little tree decoration or a little toy. Obviously, if she is going to be a toy, mine has got beads on. I wouldn't recommend beads, of course. I would recommend safety eyes, and again, I won't recommend them under a certain age because they're not really toys, they are decorations. But I know my grandchildren have them, and I know we all do it, so just make sure they are safe before the children get hold of it. Or if you're making them for pets as well, because some people, again, I've made these for the cats. I've put catnip in things, the dogs had crochet toys, but again, you need to make sure that any detailing is either very, very solid. In fact, to be honest, I wouldn't put any sort of fake detailing on a pet one, especially with the dog, because she'd chew it. So I'm on round 3 now, by the way. So it would just be stitch detail on, sort of with another piece of wool, and make sure it's really, really solid. You see it's starting to curl now, because obviously the face has to curl round. And I must remember to put the eyes in. No, don't forget to put the eyes in. I don't need to put the eyes in yet. Because this isn't going to be closed up like a ball, you can do all 8 rounds before you have to think about popping the eyes in. Can't believe I did that. I'm just looking at it. I think it's because I got it in my head I was going to do the bead eyes. And then I looked and I'm like, no, they're too small. I don't want her eyes sort of looking hugely bulging out. So then I decided safety eyes, and it was already too late. I'd already stitched it on. So that's another round done. Mark it off. That's 3. So we've got a little way to go, but you can see the shape coming now. I'm presuming that you all are getting ready for Christmas. I've seen quite an increase on views on the chocolate orange covers and the Ferrero Rocher covers and things like that. So I know people are madly getting ready, but it's surprising. I think because we've had such a busy time with my daughter's wedding, and I don't know, everything seems to have come at once for us, that all of a sudden it's like, it is Christmas very, very soon. But I am one of these incredibly, ridiculously organised people as far as Christmas is concerned, so I'm not overly worried. Although I have got quite a few videos planned. Whether I'm going to get them all done is a different matter. That's probably the where area I'm not actually organised, is things like videos and patterns and things like that. So I've got to make myself sit tight and get all these patterns written up over the next few days and get them onto the website, because I know that people are wanting them, because you are also wanting to be organised and getting some gifts made. I know there's a lot of people also make these particular gifts for sort of like charity events, school fetes, things like that. So you need a little bit of time to get them out. So I have to do it. We have to do it. Almost round. How many weeks have we got? Is it 5 weeks? 5 weeks? 6 weeks? Oh, I don't know. I lose track. Right, we're round again. There we go. That is round 5. So we have 3 more rounds, but you can see if I pull this over how the head is starting to form. But we do need it to be a little bit bigger than that. Oh, dear me. I'm really going to have to sort this out. I did have it to the side of me last time, and I think that's what I'm going to have to do, because like I say, every time I lift my hand up, I'm catching it. So I apologise for making everybody dizzy. But we're back to normal now. At least you're not going dizzy while I'm actually doing something. It's just sort of like a bit of a shock to your system. I feel like you're on a roller coaster ride for a second there. I don't know, some days I seem to do it more than others. I do have a tendency to be quite clumsy. There's days I shouldn't be allowed out of the house. Mind you, by look at this, nogging the camera, I shouldn't be allowed in the house either. I think I should go back to bed. That might be the easiest option here. But that's not going to happen. Alright, so this is round 6. So we're going to go for 7 now, round 7. And I'm just having a read over at my pattern to make sure I have told you correct there. Yes, I've definitely got written times 8, so it must be. So this is 7. There's only 1 more round after this. If you're still with me, or if you need to slow it down, don't forget you can. I suspect some of you have just marked down 7 on your piece of paper, paused me and got on with your 7. I know that's probably the thing I would do if I was watching somebody's video. If you're a beginner and you're not sure on the amigurumi, I do have an amigurumi video which might be worth having a little look at before you start doing the patterns. But if you know a double crochet stitch, you should be okay, really. Just might be the speed that's an issue. Last round. Just trying to decide whether to do wings or hair next. I think I will do hair. I should have done the wings really after I'd done the body, because then I would have used all the same yarn, so I could have been a bit tidier then, couldn't I? My room is a little chaotic because my husband's having to re-roof part of the sort of front of the house that's directly outside this window. So he's been in and out, in and out, in and out. It's almost finished, but there's like tiny little specks of tar all over my floor, loose, like little pebbly things, so they will hoover up. And there's tools all over my windowsill and things like that. So it's driving me mad a little bit, because I do like things organised in here as well. Organised chaos, I know sometimes, but slip stitch last, because I like to do a slip stitch last. It is optional, of course, but I do think make sure you've got enough here to actually sew the head on. Makes a difference. You can always use an extra bit of thread if you haven't done, but if you can use it, it does make life easier. So I'll take that little temporary stitch marker out, and that's our little head. Okay, so I'm going to just briefly put it on there, and we're going to go for the hair. Now the hair's almost identical to the head, it's just a little bit shorter, of course, because she doesn't want sort of a hair over her eyes or anything like that, although sometimes that does look quite cute on some toys. So slip knot time, on it goes, exactly the same as the head it starts with. So we have our 2, we have our 6 in the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and again we're going to do 2 in each amigurumi even I can't speak, amigurumi style, so 2 in each to give us our 12 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So we now have 12 stitches there. Tighten up my middle section. We're going to have another 2 in each. It's exactly the same as the head. So obviously it's got to fit over the head, so the sizing has to be almost there. So 2 in each of the 12 to give us our 24. That's our second one for 2. Our third one for 2. Number 4. Number 5. 6, that means we're halfway there. 7. This is 2 in each, remember. 8. 9. 10. That one's caught. 10. There we go. Number 11 has 2. And our last one, our number 12, has 2. There it is there. Right, so we now have 24 stitches. Now we're going to do just rounds like we did last time, but this time I need another piece of yarn, as I haven't got my stitch marker. I'll go for the white one this time. It'll stand out, the white glittery one. We're going to be doing 5 rounds, or until you feel you want it sort of long enough on the face. This one is 5 after the shaping, so that's the size I've gone for. If you actually sew your head on ready, make sure you put those eyes in first. In fact, don't let me forget the eyes there. I've still not put them in, have I? If you put the eyes in, put the head on, stuff it, then you can sort of keep checking the hair on the head, so you'll know exactly sort of what length you want it. But I say I'm doing the 5, which is what I did on the other one, so I'm hoping that should be right. So just 1 double crochet into each of your 24 stitches, and you're going to do that 5 times round. It's weird, this yarn is the same double knit as the sort of peachy colour I've just used, but it does feel thinner for some strange reason. That's why I was saying with yarns, even if they're the same brands, you do have to be really careful, because some just are thicker. I mean, I don't really know why. It's got to be something to do with the dye lots or something like that. But you will find that there are variations. Somebody's seen my wool moving. She was sat on the windowsill. She's here. Now, do I pause? Oh, no, that's not a joke. And move her. I will see what she does for a second. So if we suddenly get a pause, it's because of Miss Kitty here. She's called Pippi, aren't you? This is our second round. Oh, she seems to be a bit bored with me. I think she's going to the window again. She's got a nice windowsill to sit on in here. In fact, I've got both the cat and the dog in here with me today. I do have a tendency to shut the door so that they're both out when I'm videoing, but they're not hurting. And I think because it's gone a bit colder for some reason, this room does get quite warm. I think they like it in here. So I just have to make sure my walls are away in between projects. I wouldn't dream of leaving them out with a certain somebody about. You see it's starting to curl. So this is our round 2. So that's 2. So I will mark that off. That's my second one. Oh, dear me. You know, I might see if I can cut those. So I'm going to pause a second now, because I'm going to try and chop that. I don't know whether I can. So apologies again if we end up with that. Off we go. This is our round 3. So I've had a practice with the editing, but I'm not 100% good with it, and I don't want it to look too glitchy. Let me take that one out. That felt a bit weird, that stitch. Sometimes you know by the feel of a stitch that it's wrong, or that it's weak, or it's split or something like that, or you've gone in sort of just one side, not both parts of the stitch. That just comes with practice. A bit more yarn out. There we go. So this is round. I nearly did it again. I think it's because when I do that, isn't it? When I sort of move my yarn. This is round 3, isn't it? Round 3 complete. Round 4. Just all the way around to the stitch marker. So I'm not worrying about counting. If you really want to count, there are 24 stitches there. And if you got it nice and quiet, counting is good because you will get things exact. But amigurumi is sort of quite forgiving on that. Well, to be honest, crochet is quite forgiving. You can get away with all sorts of things. Like I did in the body, where I went wrong and I missed the first stitch. Never mind. It just shows that you can alter it, and it hasn't made the slightest bit of difference to the work. Obviously, you couldn't get away with more than one stitch, but you can get away with the odd one here and there. Right, we are round for number 4. I have one more round to go. This is our 5th round. Now, after this, all we've got is the little bun, which is quite a quick one. You don't need to do it with a little bun. I had considered doing some sort of like little pigtails, which I would have done just as fringing, sort of pop the fringing together and sort of make like a little set of pigtails. But I decided to sort of match her up with the first little one I did, so that is why we've got a bun there. It's gotten dark outside. I know I've got my main lamp on here, so it shouldn't be okay, but I can see there is a bit of a shadow going off. Move that wool. I can just feel that it's gone dark outside, even though I've got the curtains shut. I presume it's rain we're anticipating. It's usually rain we get, although some areas have actually had a bit of snow. Right, we're going to slip stitch there. And that's her hair. So we now have body, head and hair. Part of the hair anyway. Let's take that bit of white out of that. And we're going to do the bun now. Even smaller, so it's really easy peasy, the bun. Still starts exactly the same though. Slip knot on the hook. 2 chain, 6 double crochets into the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Tighten it up. 2 in each, which will give us 12. 2 double crochets in each stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, I'm just looking at the oh, it is. I had a horrible feeling it wasn't filming then. I'm like, oh no, I've been doing all this and it's not filmed. I didn't see the clock changing, but it has just changed. Let me check how many I've got now. I got distracted there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I need one more of 2 in the stitch. So we now have 12 stitches there. I need a little bit more. I don't need 24 though, like on the last one. So what we're going to do is 2 in the first one and then 1, 1. And that is going to be times 4 times. So here we go. 2 in our first one. 1 and a 1. That's set number 1. 2 in this one. A 1 and a 1. That's a second set. Oh, just nearly dropped it then. 2 in the next one. And then we have a 1 and a 1, and our final stitch we have a 2 and we have a 1 and a 1. So we just increased a little bit further. We should have 16 stitches there. We are now going to do a couple of rounds of just double crochet. So I'm not going to put a stitch marker in. We're only counting 16, so bear with me while I count. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, nearly round, 13, 14, 15 and 16. You can see even the shadow of this here. Oh, I got the light in the wrong place. Right, push it out, makes it easier. Last 16 stitches of the hair. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 4 more, 13, 14, 15 and 16, and a slip knot to finish. Again, make sure we have enough yarn here to sew the bun onto the hair. It's always handy to leave that extra yarn for that. Sometimes I do forget though. Right, so that is that. We have one more thing to do before I put these eyes in. Before I forget, I need to put the eyes in. I'm going to be going with the white again. I already have the one wing. It's quite a simple wing to do. Again, based roughly on the amigurumi style. So we go for slip knot first. And I need to turn my paper over because my wing is on the other side. There we go. We're going to now start with 5, only 5. We're going to do double crochets into that. So we do the 2 chain like always, but we're only going to do 5 in here. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay. Now we're going to work in rows, not rounds. This feels a little bit weird. So where we are now, we're going to do 3 chain. 1, 2 and 3. Yeah, so we're still there. We're going to turn the work over and we're going to do a treble in the base of that 3. Okay, which leaves us 1, 2, 3 and 4 stitches, and in each of those 4 you're going to do 2 trebles. So we should have increased by 5 stitches. 1, 2 in the first one. You see what I'm doing? In this next one, 1, 2. We have 2 more stitches to go. 1, 2, and then our last one. Oh, I didn't pick up both pieces then. Make sure you do get both pieces, otherwise you get it a bit holy. There we go. So we can have 1 and we're going to have 2. We should have 10 stitches. I'm going to double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Now before I do anything, I always like to chain first. So we're going to do 3 chain, 1, 2 and 3. Turn the work, treble into the base where that chain is. That's our first increase, and then 2 in every single stitch again. So we now end up with 20, so 2 in each one. Just one, wasn't it? So we need to do another one in there. By doing it, the sort of increasing in every stitch is the one that sort of forces the shape, so it's not quite a half circle. It forces it round a little bit, which you will see in a second. So 2 in each. Quite a simple wing, but it is one that you could use on many. It's very, the little tiny one I did, can you see how that can be a just a wing either side, but it wasn't big enough for this one, so that's why I decided to go for the 2 wings, and I'm pleased I did. I think it looks nice with the 2 wings. Remember, the last one is a chain, so you must make sure you get that last stitch as well. So we need to make sure we tighten that. So we have one more row we're on. We're not on rounds anymore, we're on rows, and I'm going to do 3 chain again. I'm going to turn my work over, but in directly below I'm going to do a double crochet. That's all, a double crochet. Okay, I'm going to do 3 chain, 1, 2 and 3, double crochet into the next stitch. Again, 1, 2 and 3, double crochet into that next stitch. 1, 2 and 3, double crochet into the next stitch, and you're doing exactly the same all the way along. So it's just 3 chain, double crochet into the next one. 1, 2 and 3, and double crochet. Gives a slight sort of frilly edge to the wing, just enough to sort of give it a little bit of pattern in there. So 1, 2 and 3, and double crochet. Keep going. 1, 2 and 3. Oh, it reckons my power's down to 15% on the phone. I hope we're okay here. 1, 2 and 3. Just can't plug it in where it is. 2 and 3, so I might have to do it in a couple of pieces. 1, 2 and 3. 15% might be enough, but the videos do take quick more. 1, 2 and 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2 and 3. We're almost there at the end. 1, 2 and 3. See how it's sort of pushing its shape out now. 1, 2 and 3. 1, 2, 3. Take your time with these chains. It does matter that they are neat. I've done a lot of chains in my crochet life, so I do go fast. I know I do. So just pause me and sort of you get on with your chains as you like normally. So let's get rid of that. Now this bit here needs to be really tight, so when we stitch it in I do create a little knot first and then before I thread it through. So we have our 2 wings now. Yep, so we have 2 wings there. I think I need to get these eyes in, don't you, before I forget. Now I'm having a look at my other little girl, sort of work out roughly. The eyes are about there, aren't they? That'll be 1 and 2. That looks about right, doesn't it? Yeah. Now again, make sure you're buying good quality safety eyes. There are some cheap ones out there which are a bit nasty. Read the instructions. This one is dome up before you push it on, so I should get 2 clicks. That's it, 2 clicks. That's just how I've learned sort of with practice. These particular ones work well like that. So I sort of push it on first, so it's on that tiny little bit at the end, but it's still sort of relatively solid, and then I just got to go 1, 2. Make sure you are pressing the eyes on something that's soft, because otherwise you can sort of damage the eyes as well. It looks very strange like that, doesn't it? And there we are. We have our little eyes. We don't need that bit, so that can go inside. And we're not going to sew everything up. You know how to sew some of your things up. I do know. And you'll have your own methods of doing it as well. And it would help if I actually had some needles near me. Bear with us. I am back with needles. So I'm taking the long end, because obviously I left a nice long end there so as I could do it. Let's push that in like that. And decide, make sure that's central. And I'm going to actually stitch it on, you see, around this line here, so I know which line I'm already going for. So decide where my back is, and I'm just going to clip that in there, and that's where I'm going to start. Now depending on which way round you sew, I just sort of like to put a little bit of pressure on there, and I'm going this way round. Now you may see I'm just picking up the upper part. You can see there's the 2 parts. I'm only picking up the upper part and then in to the body, up apart and into the body. And I'm going to do that all the way around. And I just find that if I do keep it on my orange, sort of push it down a bit, it just helps it hold it in place a little bit better. Try and do it stitch for stitch. You don't want to sort of suddenly end up with a sort of really long bit at the end and you're having to sort of gather a face. That's not very good luck, is it? Can you see it makes it relatively neat by doing that, by just picking up that top stitch? When we get about 3/4 of the way round, obviously we do need to do the stuffing. She looks like a bit of a marshmallow at the moment, doesn't she? Bless her. Don't lose track which line you're in, because I've done that before as well. So be quite strict with yourself in that respect. Make sure it's fitting on nicely. She looks weird without her hair because it makes her look like she's got a long head as well. But as soon as we get that hair on, it balances out. I think I'm almost 3/4 round. Yeah, we are. I think I need to get some stuffing in there. This is just a toy grade stuffing that I like to use. I think it's important to get good quality stuffing. It's just come off the orange now, but that's okay. See, all of a sudden when you stuff it, it looks better. So pop it back on the orange and carry on my stitching. Sometimes the stuffing gets in the way when you're stitching, but just try and push it back in as you're working. Moving her towards the camera. That's because as I stitch, I know I've mentioned before, I have a tendency to pull the work to me. So for you guys, I find it hard to stitch at arm's length, which is what I'm having to try and do. So we're almost there. One more maybe. Yep, and then I'm going to make a little knot. Make sure it's nice and tight, and then pushing through the head a few times, like I do when I'm making a soft toy. I just like to make sure when it goes through the actual stuffing, it sort of holds it better as well. You don't want it coming undone. So that is her head. Again, she looks very strange at the moment. Hair. I can just push the yellow bit that we started with in there. Now the hair does need to have a little bit of a stretch to go over. So can you see? That makes a big difference already. Now she's starting to look like our little angel. So I'm just going to decide that is where I want it. Now I stitched this slightly different. I'm actually just going through almost like a running stitch. So make sure it's firm on her head before you do it. And can you see what I'm doing? I'm just sort of running it along. Because then it's not pulling it tight to the head, because I don't want it tight to the head, because I want it to look like her hair. You can go all the way through, obviously, the head, because it is just stuffed. And keep making sure it's in the right position before you go too far. She doesn't want a lopsided hairdo, do you, missus? So it's just like a little running stitch, but it is enough to hold it in place, and it just stops it looking too tight to the head, so it keeps our slightly 3D look there. And I'm going to run out of yarn. Look at that. That's why I said make sure you've got enough yarn. Don't do as I do. I might just be able to get there. I'm just going to pull that bit down a bit. I'm going to take her off the orange to do this last bit. Right. That's a very tiny piece of yarn there. I should have really left it longer, because now I'm going to have to double backwards. Right. That's made it really hard for myself now. So I'm going to put the needle in. Sometimes I've had to do that if it's a bit short. And let me get the yarn back through there. Come on, behave for me. That was really not practical. Make sure you do leave a long enough piece of yarn and pull it through. Back on the orange, I'm not going to worry about that bit, because when I put the bun on the top, that will cover that. Now the bun is sewn on the same as this piece here, so we're just picking up the top part and into the hair all the way round. Again, because we're going to put this little piece of rope or ribbon or whatever decoration you want around it, it does sort of hide it a little bit. So I'm not going to go on about popping that bun on there. I just want to talk a little bit about the wings. Now, can you see how I've done this here? It's stitched in two places. I have stitched it a little bit here, so it's onto the body, but I've also done a tiny bit there onto the head, and it does hold it in place. So I'm not going to do any more sewing up for you, because I'm sure you know how to sort of finish that off. I need to, as I say, put a bun on, put her wings on. She's actually got her eyes in, so that's good. I just need to sort this poor little girl's eyes out. So she's got a little bit of surgery coming up for this one. I'm just having a look on this one. How many I did do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 I did on that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have done one less on there. You work out your measurements. On my pattern, when I write the pattern up, I will write this quantity down, okay? But you do need to keep measuring it on your orange or whatever item you're going to be putting it over, because I know not everybody's using chocolate oranges, but because I've sewn the head on now, it's sort of pulled the skirt up a little bit, so it has left me a slight discrepancy, but that's easy enough to do. All I'm going to do is pick up in the middle of one of these. I will do 3 chain and carry on another round. So as I say, I don't mind you seeing my mistakes. I think it's a way that you can learn, and perhaps then you don't make the mistakes, so that's fine by me. So I'm going to pop my other one back on. That is it. That is my Christmas angel. I hope you like her. I think she's quite cute. I'm very pleased with her, actually. I'm going to go and take some photos now so I can do the thumbnails for the video. I will write the pattern up and I will pop the links in for that as well. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for being patient for when I went wrong there. And if you do enjoy my videos, please like, subscribe and share. Please pop a comment, an idea, because this was a subscriber's idea to do a little angel. So I'm really pleased with that. Sometimes, you know, we all need a little bit of inspiration, and it's useful if somebody else does tell us or make a suggestion. It makes sort of the creative juices get going again. So once again, thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you all very soon, and bye-bye for now.